guys, it's Meg. What's up? What's poppin'? Welcome to the podcast. Some people love to accessorize their outfits with a piece of jewelry known as a ring. But what is the history behind them? I love rings. I wear rings literally every day I leave my house, basically. I love stacking rings. That's like my newest thing at the moment is I love to stack my rings. And also, for some reason, all my other jewelry, I don't care if there is significance behind them. But when it comes to my rings, I love that they can tell a story. And I love that they're special. But yeah, let's deep dive. Because before, we actually did a podcast episode on the locket. And we've done one on jewelry superstitions. So within the first literal minute of the podcast, Editing Meg. Hey, what's up? It's Editing Meg. The locket episode was from season 9, episode 3. And the jewelry superstitions episode was from season 7, episode 10, if you want to go back and listen to those. Thank you for that. But I am such a jewelry person. I think it elevates every single outfit. You can be literally wearing sweatpants. The minute you throw some jewelry on, accessorize, it becomes a runway fashion show. But the first source I have is Britannica.com. And rings have been used as a symbol of authority, fidelity, and social status for so many years. A famous example is the Irish claddagh ring, which is also known as the friendship ring or the hands and heart ring. This ring features a heart, a crown, and 2 hands. It has always symbolized love, loyalty, and friendship, and depending on where the ring is on your fingers, shows your relationship status. And also, depending which way you wear it, also shows your relationship status. So if you wear the ring on your right hand with the heart facing out, it means you're single. If you wear it on the right hand with the heart facing in, it means you're dating in a relationship. Why couldn't I think of the word? If you wear it on your left hand with the heart facing out, you're engaged. And left hand with the heart facing in, it means you're married. And also, we're just going to keep skirting. But I was seeing this thing on TikTok. It was a while ago, so I don't know if it's still a trend, but apparently it's been this trend that comes and goes. People apparently have been cutting the crown off of the rings as rebellion against the royal. And it's the crown has nothing to do with royalty. It has to do with loyalty. Wrong word, spookies. But yeah, it's a thing. I'll have Editing Meg in deep dive so I'm not miscommunicating or spreading false information. That's what I was trying to get to. So according to the sources on Google, the crown is removed to reject British rule and align with the Fenian Brotherhood. Now you may be wondering, what is that brotherhood? Well, I looked it up. They are a group that fought for Irish independence from British rule, and there's now even a Fenian claddagh ring that has no crown at all, and all of this started in the 19th century. But yeah, in addition of the famous Irish ring, the earliest rings have been found in the tombs of ancient Egypt, and they were primarily signet or seal rings. And these are just rings that have more of a flatter top. A lot of people wear them for pinky rings. And their rings were engraved to authenticate documents by the wearer, and it typically had the name and titles of the owner. Then there was the ancient Greeks. They were prone to use the rings as fashion. They were just a decoration piece to the ancient Greeks. During the Hellenistic period, they started adding stones such as carnelian, garnet, and it says virtuous paste. I don't know what that means, but also, can we talk about carnelian? I know these crystals and gems have come from the earth for basically probably since the earth has been the earth, but I just didn't process how long carnelian has been a thing. I love carnelian. It's in my top 3 favorite crystals. It's so pretty. But that's just crazy. That was really mind-blowing to me when I was reading that. And I was carnelian? In Rome, rings were used as a status symbol. Rings were mostly made of iron during this time. And that's the ring that anybody and everybody could be wearing. But the gold rings were for higher social classes in the early centuries. But by 3rd century, literally anyone could wear the gold ring unless you were a slave. This article is also saying that there is a possibility that Romans thought of the engagement ring. They had a big fancy word. I can't read my own handwriting, but I think it's supposed to say betrothal. I can't pronounce the word, but the engagement rings. That's all we need to know. They were saying the Romans created the engagement rings, symbolizing a promise of marriage to, at the time, remember, early Roman century, this was like BC, the opposite sex. Nowadays, we all know engagement rings are given to anybody and everybody, no matter who you love, as it should be. Then, the European Middle Ages, the signet ring was of great importance in religious, legal, and commercial transactions. And there's the Roman Catholic Church has I can't talk today, and this is the worst part about being a podcaster is when you have days you can't speak, because that's literally what I'm trying to do. Episcopal, I think it's pronounced apostle. There were rings that were given to newly appointed bishops, and papal rings are given to popes. It says what? And papal rings are given by popes to cardinals, which we're going to deep dive more into pope rings. It's actually a really cool one. So there's a big papal ring known as, and I quote, the fisherman ring. And no, it has nothing to do with the fisherman aesthetic. This ring was made of gold and bronze and has the image of Saint Peter fishing and is typically used by the Pope as a seal for documents. Who is Saint Peter, though? Is that the one you wish on when you can't find something? Or is that Saint Anthony? Editing Meg. Saint Peter is the patron saint of fishermen, net makers, shipbuilders, the Roman Catholic Church, and the papacy, aka the patron saint of popes. And Saint Anthony is the saint you pray to for when you lose things, because he is the patron saint of lost things. Thank you for that. There was also, these are all now just different types of rings over the course of history, which is sad because a lot of these I feel like have gotten lost over the years, and some of them are really cool. So there was memorial rings, which were engraved with the name, date of death, and sometimes an image of the dead person. There was posy rings, which are engraved with an inscription or a few lines of verse. There is occult rings, which are talismans or amulets that supposedly have magical powers. And then this one, we've talked about this before in the podcast, and I've said I've always wanted to do a podcast specifically dedicated to this type of ring, but I feel like this is just asking for the FBI to come knocking at my door. But they're so cool, and I really want one of these rings, not for the purpose that it was used for in the past, just because I think it's so cool and fun. I wouldn't put anything in it, but they had poison rings, and these were rings that were hollowed out, so you could literally put poison in it to, then use it on either yourself or other people. But they're so fascinating to me, and they're so cool. But unfortunately, by the 19th century, all these different types of rings kind of got lost and put away, and we don't use these rings anymore often. Like, we still have the engagement ring, but like nobody's using poison rings nowadays. We don't have memorial rings, really. Not in the way they used to be used. I mean, a lot of us will have rings to memorize someone or on a special occasion, but not in that way. And do you think I stopped there? No, I used another source, and I didn't write where the source came from. But I wrote 5 famous rings from history. And hold on, I want to quote the source. So I don't know why I didn't write this. Where's my history? It was Medium. It was medium.com. Yeah, medium.com, 5 famous rings from history. Ring number 1 we have is, drum roll please, the ring of Joan of Arc. This ring that she had 3 crosses. It had the letters IHS, which apparently stands for Jesus, don't know how, and MAR, which stood for Mary. And she wore these all the time. It was said that she said it was a gift from her parents, and that during battles, she would look down at her ring first. It's kind of like a superstitious thing it seemed like she had with it. But allegedly, it was taken from her before she was burned at the stake. Number 2, the ring of Queen Elizabeth I. So this was in 1558 to 1603. It was known as the Chequers ring, Chequers. And it had a mother of pearl band that was embellished with gold and rubies. It also had a locket on it with 2 portraits. One was confirmed to be Elizabeth, but the other one it could either have been her own mother or possibly her stepmother. No one knows for sure. The third ring, Napoleon's engagement ring to Josephine. So this style of ring in English translates to the you and me ring. And it has 2 gemstones set side by side, symbolizing unity and internal connection. And this is the ring that Napoleon got Josephine, and this specific one he bought her, it had pear-shaped blue sapphire and a diamond. Number 4, the papal ring of the fisherman. This was first mentioned in 1265, and like we said before, it was used to seal all the Pope's private correspondence until 1842. So apparently they don't use it for that purpose anymore. But this very fun fact, and by the time this podcast episode goes out, there is actually a new Pope. He just started not too long ago when I'm recording. By the time this episode comes out, he's probably been there for a couple weeks now. But yeah, I was mind blown by this. So the Pope's ring has to have St. Anthony on it, and not St. Anthony, has to have St. Peter on it in some way, it was saying. But every Pope gets their own unique papal ring, which is then destroyed when they die because they don't want anybody to copy it and resell it and remarket it. But I thought that was so interesting that every Pope gets their own ring. Now I want to deep dive and look at all the past Popes' rings because that would be so cool. And the last one, it's a long one. Ready for this? It is Anna Bertha Ludwig's ring. Now this part, there was a lot of science. There was a lot of words I didn't understand. But this is the Hey Guys, It's Meg podcast. So I'm going to summarize it and cut it down. So basically what happened, it was November 2nd of 1895. Willem Conrad Roentgen, he was experimenting with stuff. I don't even know how he got his hands on it, but he was experimenting with all this stuff. And you know what he discovered? The X-ray. That's basically all this was saying. He discovered the X-ray, the modern day X-ray. He discovered it. But what did he do? He wanted to test it out. So did he test it out on his own hand, on his own body? No. He took his wife. He took his wife and said, give me your hand. And he used his concoction of chemicals and whatever else he found. And he got this image of his wife's hand. But in the image that showed her bones, because X-ray shows your bones, it showed her ring. Crystal clear showed her ring. That was the big deal. Isn't that crazy? But now we're going to lead into this week's episode, Deep or Dumb, and I always forget to say, insert the deep or dumb music here, and then it awkwardly cuts off, and then you just hear, deep or dumb, the thoughts we're all about to go on, and I am apologizing. Okay? It took me 4 episodes to figure out how to do this in a more coherent format. So, let us cue and dive into our Deep or Dumb segment here. Welcome to Deep or Dumb, the thought spiral we're all about to go on. I hope that was a lot better this week. But yeah, my Deep or Dumb question is, do you like rings? Do you think they're deep? Do you think they're dumb? And do you think wearing a bunch of rings specifically is deep or dumb? I think it's cute. I think it adds an element to your outfit, your fit, if you would. I think that rings have history, and especially when they're family heirlooms that get passed down. I have some of my grandmother's rings that I wear, and that just adds a whole, and my own mom's rings. I have some of her rings, and I feel it just adds a whole new coolness to my rings. When people stop and compliment my rings, which has happened before, and I've literally been oh my god, thank you so much. But then the worst part is they want to ask you where it's from, and I can't tell you where half of them are from because they're either I found them in little small shops, or they're family heirlooms. But yeah, I think they're so cute. I think they're so fun. And I'm kind of sad we lost all the cool rings that we used to have. I think we should bring those back. But what about you? Do you like rings? Do you not like rings? Let me know. So the next time that you see somebody wearing rings, just know there's actually a lot of history behind them. They've been around for so many years, and they're definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Hey Guys, It's Meg. You can follow Hey Guys, It's Meg _podcast on Instagram for updates and good times. Come back next Monday at 9 a.m. where we're going to talk about how we can romanticize our summer. Because summer's coming. Isn't that crazy? I'll see you on the flip side. Peace out, Girl Scouts.